Are you going to tell the people why we traveled through time? We made it all that way, and we had to take a break because we couldn't leave the people, the cult of Cornette, our faithful listeners, all the way through the holidays. We knew they wouldn't be merry. We knew they wouldn't be jolly. We knew they wouldn't be happy or sleepy or dopey or Doc or any of the other ones. We knew, unless they knew the ratings for that fiasco we described here a short time ago. So we took a break and we hopped through time, and now we have the ratings. The ratings, my good sir.
Once again, another big week of the Continental Classic, Jim. The ratings for AEW Dynamite.
You know, and by the way, who was it on Twitter that says a Continental Classic is something that it sounds like a hooker gives you behind a truck stop?
Oh, see, I saw breakfast on the road.
I saw that one too at a diner. Yeah.
Well, does it sound like a wrestling tournament? That is the question. AEW Dynamite on TBS, December 20th, 2023, on average, watched by 782,000 viewers.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. So they proved us wrong. They finally, after all this time, Brian, proved us wrong because we've been saying 800 and what thousand. They have the faithful there, the sick, the shut-in, the people that are chained to a table, tied to a chair, cannot reach the remote, whatever the case. But now we've lost some of those. Was there any type of a plague or a mass extinction incident in any of the AEW hotbeds over the past week?
Yes, it's called the Continental Classic.
Okay.
Well, we began, and I do not have the Big Bang Theory numbers here. If we are able to get them, we will time travel once again, or we will not. We'll see. But quarter one, Jim?
I think the Big Bang Theory is all about time travel. Why can't we have their fucking numbers on time?
Well, these were compiled by WrestleNomics. Jim, quarter one, 8 to 8:15 p.m. Roosh versus Swerve Strickland with picture-in-picture, 964,000 viewers.
Okay, this does not bode well for their average. As starting at that level and having an average in the sevens. But continue on, my boy.
Quarter two, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. The continuation of Roosh versus Swerve Strickland, a collision recap, an ad break, Chris Jericho's emotional backstage promo, and the start of Jay Lethal versus Mark Briscoe, 803,000 viewers.
Oh, good Lord. So, 161,000 people at the start of it say, fuck. All right.
Quarter three, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The continuation of Lethal versus Briscoe in the Continental Classic with picture-in-picture ads, the post-match, and MJF's video, 795,000 viewers.
Well, at least they slowed it down to a crawl on the viewer erosion and dropped another 8,000. Now that they gotta almost stay there somewhat, don't they, to even get to this average?
Well, we go to quarter four, 8:45 to 9 p.m. An ad break, the Wardlow video, the Samoa Joe MJF live promo, and attack by the Devil's many, many, many friends. The Orange Cassidy, Chris Statlander, Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta backstage angle. Whatever that was.
I think I zipped through that thinking it was a commercial for uterine repair.
779,000 viewers.
779,000. Well, that's another 16. Why are you laughing?
Because you hit me with it.
These fucking viewers are falling. They're dropping like flies. This is not anything to laugh about and make merriment over.
Well, we have the big 9 o'clock hour, and we call it the big 9 o'clock hour for a reason. Jim, the big 9 o'clock hour, quarter five.
Didn't that involve Riho?
9 to 9:15 p.m. Soraya versus Riho with picture-in-picture.
You have a little rattle there. Apparently you were not raised by a family of yodelers because you had a rattle in there. You didn't get the clear Riho.
I'm under the weather a little. Where are we? Post-match.
You sound like you're under the tune.
Picture-in-picture with post-match and Tony Storm.
Yes, post-match. That should be somebody's fucking name.
Post-match?
Let's get 227 pounds from Des Moines, Iowa. Here he is, folks. Post-match.
Well, this quarter and the post-match in it did 782,000 viewers.
Oh, good gravy. Good gravy, mama.
Good gravy.
So they gained 3,000 viewers at the top of the all-important 9 o'clock hour by featuring Riho.
Well, we then go to quarter...
Oh, little lady.
Give me a Ricola. Can you do that?
Ricola.
We now go to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. We're taking it real serious this week, folks. An ad break, MJF...
Well, that's going to put the butts in seats. The ad break.
MJF Samoa Joe backstage running into a mask on the floor, and MJF and Swerve Strickland's backstage talk, followed by Roderick Strong versus Commander, the start of it. 745,000 viewers.
Oh, so there went 37,000. We are now 219,000 down from where they started.
Well, we go to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. That red-hot Roderick Strong versus Commander match with picture-in-picture ads and Roddy Strong's live promo, followed by an ad break, 700,000 viewers.
Oh, good. Well, at least it's an even number. So we're now down 264,000. So what you're trying to tell me is by the math that I'm doing.
Well, what I'm saying is here comes the star power and the overrun.
I'm going to have to hit you here in a second with the how do we do the average of this again, because that's just rotten. Go ahead.
Well, here is quarter 8, Jim, and the overrun. In the Continental Classic, Jon Moxley versus Jay White, picture-in-picture ads, I should say at 9:45 to 10 p.m., 709,000 viewers, with a 5-minute overrun, and the post-match with Swerve Strickland coming out to say hello, 721,000 viewers.
So
the Big Bang Theory is giving them an artificial first quarter every single week, and we should just kind of look past that.
Yeah, well, and also, before we bury the lead here, the plumber and his cohort there, the main event of the evening, gained a whopping 9,000 viewers in a program that had lost. Well, if you talk about from quarter 2, they still lost almost 100. They'd lost over 100,000 until these yahoos came out, and then they picked up 9,000. And the overrun. What's the matter?
It's hysterical. I mean, more people watched Riho than Moxley versus Slingshot over there.
Slingshot.
In the last quarter.
Slingshot Jay White. That's it from now. Somebody write that down. Remind me of that later on. Yes, Riho beat the main event by 82,000 people and or 71,000, whatever the fuck. And again, last week, and then let's talk about the first quarter, but last week we said omit the overrun number because that's probably 10,000 people that fucking wandered in trying to find It's a Wonderful Life or whatever was airing after the goddamn program was over with. So taking out the 964,000 in the first quarter, how would we do this? And taking out the end of it, what would we would add 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, right? And get a total on that, and then find the percentage like you did on your goddamn deal before. Or what? No, that would be completely incorrect. We'd add these up and then we'd divide it, is what we do. Division. Division is the key, Brian.
All right, the 7 quarters minus the first quarter minus the overrun.
Yes.
Added up and divided by 7 is 759,000 viewers.
You did that already?
I was doing it while you were filibustering for a while there, buddy.
Oh, God damn. I was trying
Sounded
to figure
like
out
Tony
how to
Khan.
do it out loud. Hey, I thought I was doing great.
Can't do it for yourself. What is that? You can't do it to yourself.
I've been doing it to myself for years. So what was that then? What was that number of viewers?
759,000 viewers.
759,000. So that's the real number there instead of 782.
Yeah, it's like the ticket count at Wembley.
This is the turnstile count.
This is the turnstile viewers.
It's how many people actually came through the door. Like some other people were caught in there from the previous show. They hadn't exited yet. We can't count them. They had come to Wembley to see the Rolling Stones or whatever, and they just got lost in the bathroom and never found their way out yet.
The three biggest stars in AEW history are CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory.
Hey, how is that, by the way? I'm just thinking, would that be another way they could measure Wembley? Did we just stumble onto that? Next year, instead of doing the turnstile count on how many people come in, they fucking measure how many people leave.
That's funny. Yeah.
They could claim that as a record. More people left this wrestling show than have ever left another wrestling show ever.
You know, technically, you could say that about his Wembley show, probably. More people paid to leave. More people paid and left here than any other show ever.
Yes. Not only did more people pay to see it, but more people left it than any other wrestling show ever. They're not doing enough to maximize the news they're making and the records they're setting. They could have a whole new way of looking at this thing. So they've set a record.
I don't have the number in front of me, but for anyone saying, well, it's a tough time of year to draw a number, I think they did like 930-something thousand last year for their similar themed show this time of year, this week last year.
Yeah, that was Have a Holly Jolly Blade Job last year, their special, right after Winter is Blowing.
But for all the fans that are really into Japanese wrestling who wanted this here in the States, it's killing their numbers.
Wouldn't it, to be fair? It's not necessarily an indictment of the entire tournament system. It's just an indictment of the way Tony decided to do it. I mean, at some point with talent that is over and with issues and rivalries between them that have been maybe carrying on for a while, and then they're all 10, 12, however many are put in this fucking situation where they're going to wrestle a number of different rivals that they've had over the last 18 to 24 months. And one guy decides, well, I'll tell you what, if I get mathematically eliminated, I know I'm going to fuck so-and-so up in match 4 just so he can't go on. I don't care what happens. And you really put a lot of time and effort and attention into your 10 top guys competing in such a way that you don't have to completely blow somebody out of the goddamn water and beat them like a fucking rented mule every night and throw a couple of fucking assholes like I just described in there and make it babyface versus heel matches by the luck of the draw in the first round, and except for one of them in the fucking other time and da-da-da, then you've got something. But this, no.
Yeah, 20-minute bangers with guys who lose every week isn't going to do it. Or with guys who just appeal to what would classically be called newsletter readers. Not to say they're not talented in their own way, but how they're being presented, what's being presented, this tournament's a bomb, and then around it you have the devil running around turning off the lights to the point where when they have technical problems, you don't know if it's real or the devil.
And the only authority figures to stop it are Tony and his pirate friend.
Yeah, or Tony, his pirate friend, and Shivani to read the statements, like the fucking press officer from Iraq.
But he had a clothespin on his nose when he was doing it. He almost literally reached up and grabbed his nose into the fake disgust that he has, right? Oh, my God.
They're chasing away their audience. And for anyone who says, oh, well, people watch in different ways, really? Are they getting a big boost in their YouTube numbers? And by the way, where's the fucking follow-up for Christian Cage and Adam Copeland? The biggest 2 stars, you could argue, on this show for at least the last couple months, at least how they've been presented. Nothing.
Well, that was Tony's statement.
What?
He read it from Christian Cage because they didn't want to come to work on a holiday week. What the fuck? They're old and they deserve their rest.
Man,
I identify with that.
Is the audience going to be there when they come back? If things are falling apart, you got to ask people to maybe help out a little bit more. But yeah, I guess you also have to say to yourself, things are falling apart. You have to be able to recognize that. Not things are great, best shows we've ever done, everything's great. Who's bad faith arguing about AEW? AEW themselves or people like us?
There are no other people like us.
And I want to apologize to Jace Nakarado for any banging I'm doing as I talk about this. But I'm so fired up about these fucking...
See, I get this. I get all the time. I get, what are you banging on? What are you touching? What are you clumping? What are you clicking? What are you spitting about? What are you doing? When I get vehement and start rattling things and whatever, and now you're the one that's doing the goddamn speechifying on the desk.
But it's amazing there are still people who won't come out and just say, Tony's not good at this. Tony needs help. The people Tony has surrounded himself with are not the help. And Tony needs to stop listening to a lot of the people he's been listening to, whether they work there or not. Because look at what's going on.
Do you think it's because he's not listening to anybody or because he's listening to everybody at the same time?
At least when you had the Jelly Nutellas and all these people running around this show,
you knew not to listen to them.
It wasn't boring. It was never boring. It was never just like, ugh, I gotta watch this. It didn't feel as dark. Half the matches on this show, I mean, it sounds like a silly thing. The ring's dark. The buildings are dark. This was the best lit building they've had in a while because they got a crowd there. The wrestlers were all wearing dark trunks. I said it before. It feels like NXT. Remember when it was NXT versus them? I always said it felt too dark. I mean, that was a really small room and they kept it dark.
Well, then they fixed that. They had the unicorn throw up on NXT. Who says they don't listen? But you got your way and they went too far.
Yeah, so AEW is this quiet, dark product now. I'm telling you, they've completely lost the plot and they barely had a hold of it from the beginning. And Cody held on to half of it. So I don't even know what to say anymore. But people are going to pretend that the solution is Tony needs to do this. Tony needs to get the fuck out of the way or just say, this is my hobby. Don't treat it seriously.
But if Tony gets out of the way, the problem is who he's going to hand off to because
bingo.
He's picked winners so far in almost every aspect of who he surrounds himself with or listens to or does business with to begin with or whatever. So, remember we always said can't get worse? Could it get worse?
Yes. Yes. The Bucks are not there right now. The Bucks can return. The Dark Order can be put all over this show. The Hardy Party, whatever the fuck that is, can show up and do whatever they do on this show. There are multiple people that drag this show down that they could insert at any time. But who can they insert in the show that brings the show up? MJF, although that's starting to fade because of how he's been used. Swerve. Let's see how he's used. Who else? Moxley's not drawing anyone anymore. Moxley was always one of their TV draws.
Yeah, but how often can you see that over and over? That's done.
Like, where are the hot angles? Where are the hot angles that get anyone interested in anyone beyond like, oh, I like the way they work? Like, there's never any, like, fucking, it's horrible. The show is horrible. And
a good blood feud.
Well, no, don't say that. Don't say that with Moxley. He'll take that to heart.
Well, you know what I mean. In the old manner of speaking, the blood feud where I hate him deep down in my blood type of thing.
Where you could have matches that would make it so that it's so completely illogical for you to stop in the middle or at the end of the match and slow things down to trade things back and forth. You should hate the person you're wrestling and never want to give them that opportunity for any reason to prove anything to anyone.
Who, in all honesty, was MJF the last and maybe one of the only heels they've had where the people genuinely popped and got excited when the babyface made his comeback and was kicking the shit out of him? Rather than just, oh, we're cheering these moves now. No, get him, kick his ass, that type of thing.
Well, the answer is yes, but the other problem is who else has been a great heel like that? Like, even when Jericho was a heel, he was never a heel.
No, because he had the wonderful music and the people could sing and dance and gesticulate about. But that's what I'm saying is that the whole logic universe of pro wrestling is built on no matter how you get there, no matter who it is, no matter what they do, no matter how long it takes, weeks, months, years, one day, whatever the fuck it is, the ultimate thing about pro wrestling is the bad guy finally gets his ass kicked. And the people jump up and down and cheer when it happens and they've paid to see it. Everything else is negotiable, right? You can think of 5 million different things that have been done in wrestling, but what is the classic wrestling moment that everybody would see in their mind or remember and or the payoff, the blow off, the goddamn big house, the end of the blood feud, whatever the case? The heel gets his ass kicked. That's what the goal of wrestling has been, no matter when and where it was presented. It's just how you get there. They can't get there. They cannot get there because there's nobody to get there on. Their heels are more popular than their baby faces. And so nobody is going to cheer any of those heels getting their ass kicked.